Hi, and welcome to the channel. I'm Lindsay from Sweet and Sour Firsties. If you're new here, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for tons of weekly back to school tips and tricks to help make it your best school year ever. This week is all about my top 5 classroom management hacks for back to school. I am super excited for this week. If you know me, you know I'm all about making your life easier. And of course, any classroom management hacks that we can use to not only get us started for the year, but help us have a strong foundation for the entire year. So these 5 hacks that I'm going to talk about today are easy to implement, super effective, and last all year long. Number 1, we are going to talk about the power of visuals. So, Sweet and Sour Firsties, right? Obviously, I have taught first grade for a long time, and we know with those youngest babies, at that age group, you get a variety of skills. You never know what skills kids are gonna walk through the door with. And so, how do we help combat that and help them become independent learners? Because the beginning of the year is exhausting. They have no stamina, you're exhausted, they're exhausted. And if that isn't enough, we need to help set the foundation for the year. Visuals. All of the visuals you can imagine in your classroom. Let's start by taking a look at my smartboard setup. So as you can see, I have tons of visuals there for students. There are hand signals. If you are not using hand signals, I would highly recommend those. It's a great nonverbal way for students to communicate, and you don't have to guess what their hand is being raised for. So hand signals is a great visual that I implement day 1 of school. You can also see levels of understanding. We use those during center time. Those are also really helpful to make sure students can be successful while being independent. And take a look at the bottom. You can see there are 3 anchor charts there for working with partners, and notice all around those anchor charts are pictures of students in action. So not only do I have visuals all around the classroom for students, from hand signals to a daily visual schedule, no more hearing what are we doing next, what time is lunch. They can literally look and see it for themselves. I also keep up visuals of voice levels so they can see exactly what level they need to be working at, as well as visuals for school supplies. Again, everything has words and has a picture to help students who don't know how to read yet see exactly what they need and how to grab it. Let's go back to those in-action pictures. Those are another visual that I always have around the room, especially at the beginning of the year. When we are learning about all of our expectations, we are building anchor charts together. We do a lot of what it looks like, sounds like. You can see an example of that here. And again, notice those in-action pictures of students. So after we have talked about the expectation, we'll go back to those partners, for example. What does it look like to talk to a partner? What does it sound like to talk to a partner? How do I find a partner? Being really explicit for those students. Then here's the best part. When they are practicing, you tell them and let them know ahead of time, I'm gonna go around and take pictures of all the students I see doing a great job in the classroom, and those pictures are gonna go on display for everybody else to see. Those visuals stay up for as long as students need them, and we can refer back to them when they're struggling. Uh-oh, I see we're having a problem finding partners. Let's go back and look at the picture of what it looks like of how we find a partner. Oh, I see people not facing each other when we're working with partners. Let's go back and look at our visual. So not only does it motivate students while practicing, but it also is a great reinforcer during the year when they need it. So visuals are an easy must that can be implemented tomorrow and make a huge difference for those littlest learners. Number 2, being planned to a T. If you can't tell already, I'm a pretty type A teacher, I will admit it, and I like to be planned out. But let's be honest, what teacher doesn't like to have a plan? Now, when you're thinking about daily and weekly planning and how extensive and overwhelming that can be, I have an easy hack that makes all of that much better, especially during the daily grind when things are really overwhelming. Class slides. Have you ever tried class slides? If you haven't, they are a game changer. Let me tell you why. It takes a little while to get your templates up to fit your new specific year, your new specific schedule. However, once you have your daily and your weekly templates set up, it's super easy to go in and change out whatever changes during the day. How many times during the day do you need to pull up a specific slide or pull up a specific video? Daily slides take all the hassle and scrambling out of that because it's all built in and done for you so that when you go to Tuesday's slides and you see, oh, we have a YouTube video we're gonna watch today of a read aloud, you can click it and it's there. You don't have to pull it up, there's no downtime. Students aren't then messing around and playing around. It's already bam, right there to go. Here's another thing I love about slides: daily embedded timers. Cleanup time. Well, maybe at the beginning of the year, it's gonna take us 10 minutes to clean up because let's be honest, sometimes it takes longer. Maybe then we can shorten it to 5 minutes. But again, having those timers built in so that students can see them and hear them, and it's a visual so that you aren't having to remind them. Make sure we're done by the time our timer's finished. And again, all you have to do is push play and start it and it's there. So if you haven't utilized daily slides yet, I would highly recommend it. I go through and edit our slides while we're weekly planning so they're done just like the plans are done. I'm not having to remember what we're doing. I have my little plan sheet right on the table so I know what the things are, but it's all done. It's the hard work and the prep all ready to go so that everything smooth sailing, no problems, no hassles, no uh-oh, that video is not the one I was looking for. You've already done all that hard work so that you can just go through the slides, and even better when a sub's there. Leave the slides up, kids know what to do, kids know what to expect, you keep your same routine. Subs love it because then it's super easy for them, they just have to flip through the slides. If you want to get real fancy, you can even record videos of yourselves and put them into the slides while you're gone. Now, do you have to do that? Absolutely not, but you can. That's the beauty of slides. And before we move on to tip number 3, I just want to share that those visuals that you create with students can also be embedded into slides too. For example, look at this picture. This is our must-do, may-do board, and as you can see, I've embedded every single picture in there for students, again, especially at the beginning of the year to support them when they're getting to know your schedule and routine. And everything's all right there. They can see exactly what they need to look like. It saves you hassle and stress. Number 3 is another easy one that I love. Let's think about when it's time to get students' attention. How easy or difficult is that for you? Do you feel like if you use a callback that it gets worn out or it's not as effective? Here's one thing I do during the year that is super effective and keeps students engaged. Not only do I love to utilize callbacks, there's so many great, fun, easy ones that students love, but then I like to switch it up to keep them on their toes. So at the beginning of the year, especially during the first month, I implement 3 solid ones that I always use for students. The 3 that I like to start the year with are hands on top, and then they shout, everybody stop, and they have to stop. And we practice that, I'm sure you can imagine, a million times to make sure they stop, look, and listen, and they're not still working, because that's the hard part with call and responses. But we always start the year with that one. Another one I love to use that's really cute is flat tire, and all the students say, shh. It's a great way when you need to calm and quiet everyone down. And then of course, the classic mac and cheese, and all the students say, everybody freeze. So those are 3 that are the heavy hitters that get used all year long. They're super easy, students remember them, but of course they can lose their luster after time, right? So here's how you keep it fresh. You can throw in seasonal ones. Think about some fun fall ones, maybe Halloween, maybe winter, throwing in just a couple throughout the year, sprinkling it in so that they don't get used to the same ones and they don't then, tend to ignore it like we know they can do. So attention getters are a must as long as you teach them the expectations, practice them till they do it right, even if you have to do it 15 times in a row. And then of course, sprinkle in some fun seasonal ones throughout the year to keep them on their toes. Number 4, we're gonna start with one of my favorite sayings. Model, practice, praise. Say it with me. Model, practice, praise. I'm all about getting your classroom to run itself, them being completely independent, even as young as kindergartners, they can and thrive doing it. And the way we get there is with modeling, practicing, and praising. The first entire month of school is exhausting in and of itself, and one of those reasons is because we have to get them independent. And the way we do that is by building those acre charts, being super explicit, using those inaction photos, having them practice until they get it, even though it's exhausting, and then of course, praising them for doing it. So a few easy ways I like to praise students is with brag notes. Remember what they say. They always say your first communication with parents should be positive, right? We know that that helps build a relationship with you and the families, you and the students, so that when things do arise that are a problem, it's not an issue because you've already took the time to build that relationship. An easy way to do that is with brag notes. I use these brag notes here. I pick 5 students a week to recognize with the brag notes and send them home. You can even staple it and say, just for your parents, and or hype it up. Like, it's super easy to do, and the students love it, the families love it, and find those little moments, those little snippets where they went above and beyond, or you saw them put an extra effort, and notice it, and they'll do it more. Positive begets positive, and we know it can get negative, it can get hard sometimes, especially when you're trying to get everybody in the routine, trying to get everyone to understand the expectations. Take the time to notice the positive. With that, I also love using whole class rewards. Now, again, I'm all about getting students to understand the expectation, and that is the expectation that we are all going to do that. But I am also a believer in let's praise them for the things that they did well and recognize how hard they're working, especially as a group. Everybody came to the carpet quietly. Everybody was ready by the time I got to 5. Whatever you can notice that they're trying hard to meet those expectations, praise them. I use different reward templates throughout the year. Here's the one we start the year with, and to be honest, I will probably utilize that one during the first month or 2 to get them used to the routine and how it works before throwing in those fun seasonal ones. But I let the class vote on a reward so they're all motivated to do it. And the rewards that I offer students are only rewards that I'm willing to commit to too. And I always try to find free rewards that don't cost me anything, but that are fun, engaging, students love. Think about extra tech time. Think about getting to choose your seat for a day, class outside, bring a stuffed animal, pajama day. These are all free rewards that are engaging for students. No shoes day, but they don't cost you anything. And you can switch them up and you can change them. And again, let them vote, empower them to do it. And then they love it and they're super motivated. And again, you're just recognizing that positive. Wow, I saw how everyone picked up the classroom. Or, oh my gosh, you guys all worked so well together. Everybody turned in their work today. Whatever it is that they did, recognize that positive and that they're trying really hard. And again, positive begets positive. The more you recognize it, the more you're gonna see it. During the school year when things get hard, remember 5 to 1. 5 positives to every 1 negative. And it's really hard, but I'm telling you, if you build it into your routine and yourself and try to recognize that positive, you're gonna see it more from your students. And for our last tip this week, we are gonna talk about transitions. Now, I could do a whole video on transitions. We know transitions can be a total time suck, and they can be really frustrating to deal with, especially at the beginning of the year. So, how do we help students get it? How do we help our transitions move quickly and not waste a bunch of time? Here are a few hacks specifically for transitions that work really well. Timers. I love using timers. I use timers at home with my own children. I use timers at school with my students. They know, and the expectation is you are done by that timer. And of course, you have to build that and you have to practice that, but they get good at it and they want to do it. Think about motivating them. How can you get them done by 0? Maybe that's where you give them a whole class reward. You can even do a little reward for students who are ready. Again, thinking about how we motivate them to do it so they continue to do it throughout the year. But as you already heard me talk about with timers on the daily slides, I love using timers for cleanup time. For transitions, when I say, okay, we're getting ready for lunch, I want you done in 1 minute, and trying to push them and incentivize them to get done, they actually really like it and they're pretty motivated to get ready by the time the timer goes to 0. So anytime you can implement a timer in your day, especially during transitions that you know take a lot of time, try to motivate them. Let's see if we can do it in 2 minutes today. Make it a game. They love games. It makes it fun and engaging and everybody wants to do it. Music is another great idea during transition times to help students get done quickly. Okay, let's all be done by this song. Oh, here is our special cleanup song. Maybe you have an end of the day specific song. I know teachers who love to fill their day with songs and have different songs for coming to the carpet, cleaning up, packing up at the end of the day. Whatever you want to put a song on for, do it. And it's super motivating. When they hear the song, they're going to know exactly what to do. They're going to know when the song ends and when they need to be finished. It's all about setting in that structure for them. Try a secret student. This is super motivating too. I'm watching to see if this secret student can be to the carpet by the time the timer goes off. They're not gonna know who the secret student is, and if the secret student does it, maybe they all get a whole class reward. Maybe that secret student gets a brag note sent home. Again, finding ways to make it fun for them, engaging for them, and then they're gonna wanna do it and continue doing it. And then one of my favorites that I utilize a lot with students is I have a countdown that I do while I say the expectations. Here's an example. Let's say we're done cleaning up for centers, we're putting everything away, and we're getting ready to come down to the carpet for our next activity. While I'm counting down, I also give them expectations. In 5 seconds, everyone needs to be sitting on the carpet. In 4 seconds, everyone needs to be ready to learn with their eyes on me. In 3 seconds, everyone's voice needs to be off. In 2 seconds, everyone needs to be in their spot with their hands to their self. In 1 second, your brains are on and ready to learn. This not only helps prepare them for what my expectation is, but it gives them the time to get there. If they're still chatty and still moving, doesn't matter, as long as by the time I get to 0, they are ready and they've heard me. And I will tell you guys what, that is almost more motivating than anything else. And again, I'm not penalizing them if they're not ready yet. They have to be ready by 0, but if they're still talking at 3, that's fine. If they're still coming to the carpet at 2, it's fine. As long as by the time I get to 0, everyone is ready and listening and we can get started. And the last tip I have for transitions is a movement code word. And take a look at this template. This is a freebie that you can grab below in the description. It is a game changer. I love using a movement code word. Here's how this works. And I tie it to our star students. So our star student for the week gets to pick our movement code word for the week. Again, getting the buy-in, getting them incentivized to want to listen. They get super excited if it's them doing it instead of me. Of course, it's different, right? Anyways, the movement code word changes every week, and you can do it daily too if you want to. I know some teachers who do it daily, but I can't keep up with that, so I change it once a week. And so here's how it works. Whatever the code word is, let's say like in the picture, robot. Our code word is robot. That means I'm giving directions, I'm telling them what to do for their next activity. They cannot move until they hear that code word. It's great for those kiddos who as soon as you start talking, they're moving, they're getting their things out, they're getting started. No, you set that expectation, you listen to all the directions, then as soon as you hear the word, you can go. And it's better than go, right? Because sometimes they can tune you out, let's just be honest, they can. And so when it's especially a word that someone else has created or that you've changed daily or whatever it is, again, changing it up, keeping it fresh, it's engaging and they wanna listen to it and they, oh, I heard the word, now I can move. And like I said, you can grab that freebie down below. It is a must-have and I love using that. That is it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed these top 5 classroom management hacks. If you haven't checked out the classroom management bundle yet, it's a must. It has all of my easy systems there for you. Again, you can see easy to implement, easy to sustain throughout the year, and is super effective. That is what I'm all about. And that will help your classroom almost run itself. You can also grab that in the description below too. I hope you really enjoyed this week's video. I hope you loved these hacks. If you have more, please share them in the comments below. You know I'm all about sharing each other's idea and learning from each other. And make sure to join me for next week's video as we continue with more classroom management tips and tricks. Thank you again for watching, and if you haven't, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. I'll see you next week.